The thing that would be great is if bone marrow transplants went out of business.
To be as sick as I was and to have what I did, they didn't know whether I was going to make it. I knew I was going to make it.
You have to have something to look forward to, and that's what got me through it.
Sometimes you get so sick and you live with it for so long, and you're about ready to say, you know, I'm tired, you know. And it wasn't for my kids saying, Dad, you're a fighter, and my wife and my daughter and son, I shook me out and said, okay, let's go.
I had never been treated the way I had by nursing and physicians. They would come into my room every day, and it wasn't, oh, how are you today? It was just, hey, get up, come on, you gotta get dressed, you gotta eat, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. All right, you're done with all your stuff, okay, let's sit down and talk.
They were just absolutely wonderful. I mean, I can't give them enough accolades because they were just right there. They were not only very precise in what they did, but they would joke with you and kind of, you know, if I was down or something, you know, they would joke and, you know, kind of cut up with me and kind of bring me up.
When I was diagnosed with my cancer, I mean, I told my husband we are in the best place possible because this group of physicians knows what they're doing, they care. They look at you individually, you're not just a number, you're who you are, they care about you. Each and every one of them do, and each staff member is the same way. And the thing is, there's no worry.
Being in this unit, I would not be anywhere else. There are several places that we could have been sent, and I just am so glad that we were sent here.
It was a lump in the throat. I remember leaving that doctor's office and but I'm just, you know, I kind of delighted to come back.
You do the best that you can. That's all you can ever do, is the best that you can.
I myself was shocked. I had never really knew anyone who had AML. And so when he first was told that, it was like our doctor kept doing tests to find out because he wasn't feeling good. And he called us down there, and when he told us, it's like you had something in your throat. You know, it was just a shock.
Unfortunately, he went through some horrible stuff when he was here. But, you know, it didn't matter what he actually produced for them. They were there, they were supportive, they were helping in cleaning, they were helping in everything. I mean, it's not just the nursing, it's the housekeeping, it's the supply guy who comes in, you know, and they're all smiling and happy and asking how he's doing. And even when they put him on the breathing machine, they were, you know, I had to leave the room, but while I was out of the room, they had a chair for me, and then, you know, all the nurses would come up and pat me on the back and tell me everything's going to be okay. And so they were very supportive, and there were many times that, you know, I just needed my own space, even when it was in his room, and I always felt like I had that, you know, that little space to where I can have time to think and be, you know, for me, be with God and, you know, and pray and stuff like that. And that was available for me.
Those odds
weren't so great.
Wasn't easy, honey.
But I learned, one thing I learned was, he's always been the glasses half full guy. I'm the half empty person. I have learned a lot about understanding that if there is a 20% chance of survival, then he's going to be in that 20%. Somebody's in that 20%. So thinking positively and trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel instead of just sitting there wringing your hands.
When Dr. Janssen and Dr. Akerd made the decision to leave a strictly academic environment in the late 80s it was with the idea that a different type of care model would not only be more efficient, but it would provide more direct and more personal care.
Everybody does work together as a team, and I think that's important, and all of our focus is the patient. You know, of course everybody has their issues with personal things or whatever, but everybody in the end, I think at the end of the day, the patient is the most important, and that is where we focus.
In our unit, I think it's all about relationships. The first relationship is the relationship we have with our patients and their families. The thing is, they're here for a long period of time, or they're in and out over a year period of time, and we get to know the patient, we get to know their family, and that's one thing I think is really beautiful about this unit, because you get to know them, you care about them, you see them on the street, and you're like so excited to see them, and you know them.
The people that I work with, the physicians, the patients especially though, you know, they're here for about a month sometimes, so we get to really know them and their families, and they go through so much, such rigorous treatments. But they're just unique in the fact that they appreciate everything you do for them. They take time when they're feeling sick and throwing up to ask how I'm doing and ask about my family, and I can't believe people do that. It just gives you perspective, and you know what's really important in life.
After the actual transplant episode's over, they become part of our family. And I think that is what makes our program unique, is that it's a smaller program, but at a much more personal level. You know, patients, I tell them, especially our allo patients, patients that get donor transplants, when they come back in the future, it's like coming back to see family.
Each patient and family has their own story of strength, courage, faith, that they have just taught me a lot as a nurse, and I'm able to take their stories and help other patients go through the bone marrow transplant process. I think they're just neat people. They just inspire us all, and they encourage us all as we try to encourage them.
Our team is great. You pull in our social worker and our coordinator and our discharge coordinator. Everybody tries to touch base. The communication on this floor is wonderful. If we see an issue, we go and try to find the right person. So the caregivers are golly Neds, just even transportation getting here sometimes. We're not all local. We have Fort Wayne, we have Illinois, we have Kentucky, we have Ohio, so I believe our team really strives for excellence in that department to make sure what we can do is getting done.
And one of the things we've tried to foster over the years is independence on the part of people in the team, and also understanding the critical nature of the team approach and how everybody's role is important.
I want to see tomorrow. You know, before it was just work, 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 you know, and that's the only thing I've ever seen. Now I want to see my boys grow. I want to see grandchildren. I want to see, you know, another 40 years with my wife, you know. So but mostly it's changed me spiritually. You know, I pray more, I talk to God more, and you know, without that, you have to have something. You have to have something to look forward to.
The job is never done, and as long as you approach it with that mentality and realize that there are things that none of us control. And as we said, it's a hard job some days, but we also have the types of celebrations that you're hearing about today, and that makes a difference too.
When we see our patients come back in and they do well in transplant, that is what's rewarding for our staff, and it's an inspiration to keep us going and taking care of our future patients. I think that that is what inspires us to celebrate giving them the second chance of life.
After the actual transplant itself, when I was, you know, in isolation, I was just determined I was going home, and I was going to go home earlier than they said because I was getting out of here.
She said, Bev, they're right there. They're right on the line. I said, well, I'm going home. And that was like the 20th of December. And I had the transplant on the 10th, okay? So it was like I started crying. I had never ever cried during this whole process because I knew if I did, I would never make it through. So I started crying, and she said, what's wrong? And I said, I don't know, I'm just crying. It was all over, you know. It was at the end, everything was done, and I was ready to go home.